You can turn off your camera and your mic. I will actually just bring on the next speakers who will actually be for our panel. You should be able to see it on the screen. It's how to build a marketing engine for 3D printing company from scratch. It seems that a couple of our panelists are actually sick, but we still have Ludovine and Suzanne who will be joining us. Suzanne, I see you're already here. Great. And I will just bring Ludovine as well onto the stage. And Ludovine, you should now have access as well. Well, let me introduce you quickly. As I mentioned, unfortunately, it seems we have that we have a couple of illnesses in this panel. So I just want to welcome Suzanne Hoffman, who's the founder of Marketing Canvas. I apologize for any and all butchering of names. And I also want to welcome Ludovine Shadow, who's a content marketer and freelancer. And I hear that you will be taking it away. Please let me know if you need anything from my side. Otherwise, well, you should be able to share now and take it away.
Yes, perfect. I think I will go into the focus mode so you can see the presentation fully. So yeah, our topic today is how to build a marketing engine for a 3D printing company from scratch. And Ludivine and I will be excited about showing you how to do that. First of all, I will start. So I will bring the ingredients and how to build the engine. And in the second part of the presentation, Ludivine will show you how to actually can bring it to fly and bring it to speed. And my very first slide is probably a bit confusing, but don't be afraid because I will walk you through that, because the track that this marketing engine is running on, well, this is the buyer journey. And the buyer journey has changed completely from back then when I started becoming a marketer to today. And it has not only changed for marketers, but also for the salespeople, for everyone involved, and of course also for the users, because today when we solve a problem, we go online to explore the best solution. And we will compare different vendors in that process. And our customers, they will do the same. Actually, about 90% will research information online. And also on social, of course, and they will compare us with our competitors. Gartner says that there are, at average, 7 decision makers involved in the buying process. And this is the so-called buying center. And depending on the price of our products, the number of these people in the buying center will grow even further. And this is just the reason why purchasing decisions take longer now and the buyer journey becomes more and more complex. It's crazy, but it's at average 102 days until this buying center has made a buying decision. I know that this is tough, but there is even more because 80% of this buyer journey takes place online. That means that roughly 16% of B2B sales departments still have face-to-face meetings, only 16%, because buyers have no time for face-to-face meetings. They are busy because they need to visit up to 10 channels at average during their buyer journey. And yes, that's 10 channels for every one of these 7 people that are at average involved in the buying center. And that's not all. Everyone is also reviewing about 5 pieces of content. So this is where the complexity adds up. And when our potential clients at some point finally interact with a salesperson, about 70% usually have made their decision already. So this means that marketing teams and marketing resources steer the majority of the modern buyer journey. And I think that this is, on the one hand, great because I'm a marketer, but on the other hand, I'm alarmed because marketing is always way smaller than a sales department. And I believe that no marketing team should and can handle this alone, because I think this is a team approach. The question is, how can we simplify and speed up this decision-making process? Because this is our marketing engine, actually. So I want to share now some of my top 5 of do's and don'ts from 15 years of marketing to help you as communicators overcome this highly complex buyer journey and grow your brand and build trust with your clients. So let's start with the good part. Let's start with do's. My first do is explore what value you can add for your audience. What do I mean? It doesn't matter if you have a startup or a large corporate, you want people to know about your company, right? And here, what applies to regular people applies to businesses as well. We want to spend time with someone who has something to say, who gives us valuable advice, helps us to get better at our jobs, is interesting, or just makes us feel smarter. That's the truth. So that's why you should understand that marketing is not really about marketing products and their features and benefits. Marketing is actually about attracting people who want to buy from you someday and to build these relationships. And this only works if you have something to say. It only works if you can help people get better at their jobs, if you can give them valuable advice. You can't grow any brand with superficial messaging. And now my second do, to tap in or to explore this value, you can tap into your team's experiences and leverage your team's power. This is actually a great strategy because people usually don't trust brands. And your brand, I'm sorry that I have to say that, is just a faceless company. The good news is, though, that people trust other people. And your team is talking to people every day. They are talking to partners, advisors, investors, customers. And as a team, you have tons of interesting conversations going on. You have experiences and an idea of what's happening in the market. You have a strong point of view of the industry trends and challenges. And all this content is amazing content to attract your dream customers. It does not need more than that. Talking about your business, what you're working on, and how you push your industry forward will make you more relatable as a team and attractive to your audience. You literally prove that you're the right team to work with. So now that you have an idea of the value you want to share, how do you bring it out in the space? You need to create a digital twin of your team. What does that mean? The best way to differentiate your brand from the competition is to bring them audiences they can't hear. Bring your audience voices, they can't hear anywhere else. And you have to feature the subject matter experts in your organization. The more voices you can bring to your content, the more it will stand out to your audience. And this is, by the way, the only way how you can handle the complexity of the buyer journey, because not only marketing, but as I said, everyone in the company should be responsible for external communication. The smaller a team is, the more important this is, because by leveraging your non-marketing members, you turn them into touch points of the buyer journey, into additional channels you can actually use as a marketer. And you also ensure that subject matter experts can support potential clients along their buyer's journey. This is like a shortcut for your clients because they can ask their questions and get them answered very quickly. And simultaneously, they build long-term relationships with your brand, and they get a feeling how it's like to work with you, how the vibe is, because they are already interacting with you on an eye level. My fourth do is please get started by collaborating on content. One thing I can promise you as a marketer is that your subject matter experts don't want to get featured externally. This is because they're engineers and most of them prefer to hide behind the scenes rather than being on stage. And this is okay as long as you don't give up on them, because you can nudge them very gently, but don't push them. They don't like to be pushed, but use what they already are working on, because so much content already happens inside your company that you just have to find. You can review, for example, internal channels with very fresh eyes. Look for content opportunities they have already created. Look into conversations where people share and discuss their perspectives about the market, trends and challenges, and definitely start with the most passionate people, the most open people inside the company, and encourage them to share externally what they already have shared internally. And if they need help, you can help them to tweak the message, add images or videos, etc. And once the content is out and it performs well, it's my recommendation is to celebrate these success stories internally, because this helps to inspire other people in your organization. And I think the number one predictor of success in any organization is our ability to energize the people around us, because then like a domino effect will happen. This positive energy will lead to positive and empowering relationships within your whole team, and they will feel encouraged to do the same. Now that we talked about the growth mindset, there is of course an opposite to that. This is the fixed mindset, and I want to give you some ideas how you can detect red flags of things you should not do. And don't forget, it's never too late to get out of your comfort zone. The first don't is don't sell the guitar to sell the music. I mentioned that already. Many organizations focus more on selling technical features and benefits. They sell the guitar. Words they love are we, us, our. This is how you can detect them. But we have to make our audience feel good about our products or service. It's about them, actually, not about us. So we need to spark their imagination and how we make their lives better. We need to build an emotional connection between them and our product. So we don't should talk about the guitar, but about the music they can play with the guitar, the cool riffs they can play, depending if they like blues or punk. That's what you should know, of course. The focus key question is, how does your product improve their lives? With that question in mind, nothing can go wrong. And my second don't is, please don't be afraid of discomfort. We all want to have a plan. That's normal. We all want to be confident, of course. But in truth, B2B marketing is always somewhat of a guessing game, because you can't predict the behavior of other people. It's impossible. So feeling uneasy is a perfect sign that you're doing well, actually. The plan or the key is just not to stop testing and playing around. Don't wait for things to be perfect. They never will. It's just a waste of time to wait for that. Just start. And no matter how big or small, get going. My don't number 4 is don't be boring. This matters a lot to me, because we should not be afraid of humor, especially in communication. And we should experiment with our brand's voice and personality, because our brand is like a real person. Because you may find that other B2B buyers, other people are just as starved for entertainment as the rest of us. Make sure that your narrative is emotionally engaging, and trade your boring corporate voice with passive construction and a dry and detached tone for a more human one. Eliminate all the buzzwords you can find. My last don't is, please don't underestimate the power of strategy, because a compelling vision for an organization, that's a great start. But without a thoughtful go-to-market strategy, you can't go anywhere. You need to develop a plan that clarifies the problem your customer is facing, why they need your solution, who you are selling to, where you plan to reach them, and how. And I want to give you some ideas how you can do that super easily, because I'm a Canvas nerd. And a few years ago, I thought that the business model Canvas is a fantastic tool, but it's only for startups. So how can we transform the power of the business model into marketing world? That's my approach to create the marketing Canvas. It's a go-to-market Canvas model that can help startups, larger teams to create go-to-market strategies for products they want to scale very fast in just a few hours. It's that easy because it's that simple. This framework just has 9 fields. The goal is to fill out these fields with your subject matter experts internally, so that everyone understands who has strengths, where and how and why, and you visualize the know-how of the team, because I believe everything we know is already in our heads. We just have to bring it on paper. These 9 boxes will guide you as even a non-engineer. In box number 1, look at the challenge that your audience is facing, the root cause of their problem, And then in box number 2, you figure out what's the worst case scenario. If they don't take action, what can happen then? And then we look at the audience per se, at the companies that will benefit, but also, and now we come to the buying center again, who is the key contact person we need to address? Who is the internal door opener in this company? Box number 4 is about the solution, our solution. How do we help our audience to overcome their challenge? And then box number 5, who else is there in the marketplace that we are competing with? Box number 6 is then our value proposition, our promise. How do we promise or what do we promise our customers to make their lives better? Why do they need us and can't live without us? Box number 7 is then our unfair advantage. What is our unique superpower that none of our competitors has? And when you fill out these 7 boxes, you can actually test your product market fit very easily, because if you struggle to fill in information, that's proof sign that you are not ready for go-to-market yet. And then the last 2 boxes, they help you to create your plan, because you first look at the status quo. Where are we now? What resources do we have? Where are the obstacles ahead? How can we bridge these gaps to reach our final goal that we will define with our team, and also the KPIs that will help us to measure success and the milestones on the way to the goal? So that's the marketing canvas. The process is so easy. It will really just take you a few hours to fill in this canvas model with your team. Then as a marketing team, you create the big picture story. So you translate these insights into messages. You have a great idea of who your target audience is, where they hang out. So you know the channels, and you have now the messages, so you can soft launch them, test them quickly in the market, can iterate them and fine-tune message, audience, channels further until you have your product market fit in the end, where you can scale. But that means that you have now the opportunity to invest a higher budget and really look into paid ads, hire great designers for high-value content, and grow your product further. If you want to test that, this canvas model is available for free in German on my German website that just launched, but you can always contact me for the English version, and I'm happy to share that with you. And with that, I now want to hand over to Levine and the second part of the presentation. Levine, the stage is yours.
I can't wait to try the canvas for my current and future project. And see if everything fits.
I would love to get your feedback, of course.
So I'll just share my screen. Oop. Is it working correctly? Hello?
Yes, it does.
Sorry. Suzanne mentioned a lot of insightful things about content and how to build resourceful content that makes sense to your audience. I'll be talking more about the SEO side of marketing. So it's an organic marketing tactic. Sorry, this is my first ever conference presentation, so I'm a bit nervous and fumbling a bit. So I'm Ludy. I'm a freelance content marketer. I worked at Aniwa, the B2B marketplace for additive manufacturing solutions, for over 5 years as their head of content. And a big part of my role was making sure that our content, first of all, was interesting for our readers. So everything that Suzanne mentioned, but also visible organically. Sorry. So I'll just start now with our organic marketing. So it's a more subtle approach to marketing than paid advertising or promotional content. There's several things you can do with organic marketing. You can build a community of passionate users that turn into your brand ambassadors. So it's like a free outsourced marketing team that you still have to build and nurture. But I'll be talking more about SEO, which is one of the most impactful strategies you can have with organic marketing, so non-paid content. So SEO is search engine optimization. And as Suzanne said, content is a super important part of the buyer journey, and 90% of users start their buyer journey with an online search. And so an online search often means typing keywords into a search engine, and there are various search engines. There's Bing, Ecosia, And there's Google, who is the king of search engines, as everybody knows, because they have over 90% of market share. And 75% of people that do an online search, they stick to the first page. I do that as well when I search for something, I don't know, like a coffee machine or a microwave or whatever. I type whatever I want on Google and I skip right past the paid ads, actually, because it's so hard to get on the first page of Google search results that the team that did manage to get there really deserves my attention, I believe. So anyways, I stick to the first page results. I almost never go to the second or third or fourth page. So it's really important that you get your content that you spent time thinking about and creating, crafting with your team, as Suzanne said. So it's important that it gets visible organically. So how do you do that? First of all, there's one tool that you can use to check your SEO score. Your SEO score is a mix of factors, which we'll go dive deeper into a little bit later. But you can use the Ahrefs authority checker. You just type in your URL and you get a score out of 100. So you can see what your score is, what your competitor's score is, so you can kind of benchmark yourself and then make the right actions. So I put in Tech Radar here as an example. They're like an old website which has fresh content all the time. So they have one of the highest scores that you can get. So that's what you should aim for, but most manufacturer website or media websites are between 40 and 60. So you can work your way up to a better score. So what makes up that SEO score? It's a mix of a lot of factors that we can categorize into three main pillars. So the first one would be an SEO friendly website, something that's easy to look at, to navigate, that provides an enjoyable experience. Same thing for SEO friendly content that's easy to read, nice to look at, like not a huge block of just paragraphs and paragraphs with not any images. You want something that breathes, that's enjoyable to read. And then the third main pillar is shares and links from others. So if we look a bit closer at what we mean by SEO-friendly website, I just put 3 bullet points, but again, there's a lot of stuff that comes into play here. One of the basics is having a logical site structure. Your website needs to be easy to navigate, as I mentioned earlier, and when you want to get ranked on Google, you or your agency or developer is going to submit your website's sitemap to Google Console, and Google Console will read that and see if all of your pages and all of your content is well organized in different sections of your website. So that's a really big signal for Google, making sure that everything is really organized. And it makes it easier for Google's crawling bots to find all of your different content. If it's all over the place and there are random pages here and there and it doesn't make sense, then Google will not give up, but it'll give you less importance than another website that has maybe the same content but better organized. You also want to make sure that you have the standard pages that one would expect when visiting a website. So a team page, I want to know who's behind a certain product, if I can trust them, do they have a nice story to tell? I want to be able to contact them. So there's, on any website you visit, there's usually a contact page, an about page, stuff like that. You need to make sure that your website answers like the general standards and stay up to date to what the standards are, how they're evolving. If tomorrow a standard page is cookies has become standard over the past few years, and a lot of websites have had to adapt. And the faster you adapt, because SEO is like a constant thing. You can't just make a website, publish content, and expect it to keep ranking. You'll rank for a month, 2 months, but then other websites will be publishing fresh content, updating their website. And so SEO is a constant thing. The third point that I listed that I think is important among all of the website indicators is loading speed. Basically, Google prioritizes websites and content that gives a good user experience. And today, every user wants wants results and answers really fast. So if your website is taking 10 seconds to load or 20 seconds, which is like most websites don't take that long, basically they prioritize sites that load faster. So if you have really heavy images that you didn't optimize at all, and you have a lot of YouTube videos on your website or 3D viewers like Sketchfab embeds, or a lot of stuff that charges that weighs down your page, then your page won't load as fast and you won't get ranked. So I'd recommend hiring an in-house dev or taking a look at agencies to analyze your website and see what you can do to make it go faster. The second pillar, SEO friendly content. So again, once you thought about what makes your brand interesting, what you can share from your team to your users, you need to make sure that all that really good content gets visible. I listed 3 bullet points, which again is just a small part of all the different things you can do for your content. The most important one being keywords and semantic keywords. So before publishing any content, any piece of content, you need to make sure that you do your research on a specific keyword. So for example, if you want to sell a metal 3D printer, you type metal 3D printer in Google, you see what results you get, suggested searches that appear automatically. You can use tools like SEMrush to type in your keyword and see what recommendations it gives you. Your article will have to include this keyword, metal 3D printer, several times throughout the page, and then anything that one would expect to go with a metal 3D printer. So if it's a desktop FFF 3D printer, maybe Google will expect you to also be talking about filaments, maybe powders, different types of metals, what you need to post-process it, your extruder, temperatures, build plates, stuff like that, anything semantic that goes with your main keyword. So you want to make sure you cover the whole topic. And if you know what you're talking about anyways, all of these semantic keywords will come naturally. So you don't need to spend hours for each keyword research, but just keep in mind semantics. And also you don't want to overstuff your articles with too many keywords, or if taking the metal 3D printer example again, you don't want to mention it 50 times in an 800-word article, because then it won't seem natural to the user, and you'll be able to identify that it's like an SEO-oriented article and not a user-oriented article. And anyways, as I mentioned before, Google really puts the user experience at the center of how it works. So as long as you keep your user in mind while you're writing, you should be okay. But keep keywords in mind anyways. The second super important point is a clean content structure. So just as with what I was saying with your website that needs to have a good structure, every single article that you write also needs a good structure, a logical flow to it. So what I do before I write a piece of content, and what I think most people do, is write out an outline of what you're going to talk about, and then you go and fill it in gradually. So you have your main title, then you have section titles and subsections. And a lot of websites do this already, but I've noticed on some websites that they weren't indicating the structure to Google. What I mean by that is in your content management system, like WordPress or HubSpot, in the text editor area, you can indicate whether you're writing normal text, or you can select if it's a header, and you have a list of headers, H2, H3, H4, H5. You generally don't go below H4 anyways, but it's important for you to indicate that in your WordPress editor, because it's going to add stuff in the code, in the HTML. So for example, here in the presentation, you see like the little triangle thing, sorry, I don't remember what it's called, with H2 inside it. That's kind of like your sitemap for Google, but it's like your article map. And there's a really easy tool, a free tool, a Chrome extension that's called Headings Map that you can use. You can check out other article structures if you want to get inspired for yours, and you can double check as soon as you publish yours. That's what I did when I was at Anua, for example, as soon as I published an article, I always, I have a list of double checks to make, like are all the links working correctly, etc. And headings map was on top of my list to make sure it's all clean. So in the screenshot in the presentation, you can see that on the left over here, there's content writing as an H1. There should always only be one H1 in each article because it's the title. If there are several H1s, then Google won't understand and will think it's a mess. And then in this article, he's jumping directly to an H3, which isn't logical. There should be an H2 in between those. So that's like a red flag for Google. So if you use heading map on one of your articles and you see that there is none, or just like one H1 and then there's nothing else, then that's a big red flag that you should address as soon as possible for each of your articles and make sure that you have a right structure. And the third point I wanted to talk about is original content and illustrations. So the fight for getting on the first page is real, and it's really hard. It's a very competitive scene, especially in 3D printing. If you type 3D printer, there's so many websites and manufacturers competing for that same keyword. So you need to make sure that you're adding value. Like Suzanne mentioned, you want to add value to everything that you're publishing. So you can do that by introducing new ideas, introducing use cases, what your team of experts is saying, and use original illustrations. At one point a few years ago, every time you opened up an article about 3D printing, it was always the same images of an Ultimaker or a Prusa, like always the same exact image. Now it's more diversified, but people don't want to see the same image all the time, the same infographic that hasn't moved from year to year. So it's really important, and it's a good signal for Google if you include images and illustrations that it has not seen before on the web. It's like a completely new image. So try to take pictures as much as you can when you're in your factory or when you're at trade shows. Take pictures of different parts that you can later include in your articles. That'll be a very good signal for Google. I included a few tools. So headings map, there's the link. I can share this presentation to anyone who wants it. There are a few links for the tools, and you can also ask me about the tools by LinkedIn or email. But anyways, I have a few links in here. So the link to headings map, a link to Backlinko, who is really expert in tips and advice on how to write the best content, make it look nice. Anyways, lots of great tips, so I linked there. And HubSpot as well has a really great resource base for all this content writing and SEO stuff. And the third one, third pillar, shares and links from others. So that's a big part of your SEO score that we saw before with the Ahrefs authority checker, domain checker. Basically, if you look at the screenshot here, this is from another extension I use called Majestic. I should have included the link here. I'll add it later, and when you ask for the presentation, it'll be there. What's important to look at here is trust flow and citation flow. Citation flow is the amount of other websites that are linking to you, and trust flow is how many of these websites are an authority. So if you have people linking to you with a website that only has a domain rating of 12, you won't be getting much trust. But if you're getting links from TechRadar or Forbes or all those big publications who have a score of 90, then that's going to boost your score up really fast and have a really big impact on your score. So you want to make sure that you get backlinks at a good frequency, like every week, every month. As long as you keep the flow going, then you'll keep building your score up. So you can, in our industry, you can reach out to specific media to do sponsored articles, for example, or when you share press releases, the website should link back to you. And one thing that's important is for the links to be do follow. That means that basically in the HTML in your website, you can, if you're an affiliate website, for example, and you have hundreds of links towards Amazon, you're going to tell Google not to follow each of these links. So that's a no follow bit of code. But if you want to get the SEO juice from the websites that you are linking, that are linking to you, that you paid for sponsored articles, you have to ask for them to be do follow, and that's what's going to boost your SEO juice. And that's what's really interesting in all the advertising packages that are offered by various media. And by having articles that talk about your brand, you're becoming a keyword yourself. So the more people talk about you in different articles, the more that's going to contribute to your score as well. So as I said, like 3 times already, sorry, there's a lot to learn about each topic. There's a lot of techniques for all of these points that we saw. So I recommend reading up on trusted publications. So there's Backlinko, there's HubSpot. There are a few YouTubers that do great content as well if you prefer that format. And influencers like Suzanne on LinkedIn, they're good to follow to get updates regularly on what's happening, what's new in the SEO space and marketing space, and voila. Oh, wait, next slide for questions, sorry. Okay, so if you have any questions for Suzanne or me, let us know.
And thanks for listening so far, because there was a lot of information overload. We are totally aware of that, but some things need to be said.
Well, thank you so much. Well, since I can help with the questions a bit, we do have one that's come in. Feel free to put any other ones, which is from Katerina. She says, sorry about this question. I like learning from past mistakes too, but do you have any marketing failure or success stories to share?
I can start with a success story, and I'm pretty sure that Levine has also an idea from B2C. Spotify, I think that's a great success story, because Spotify has a super large team of people involved in building the brand. At the same time, they make you feel very familiar and close to you, because they make you feel like they care about you and your music consumption, with Spotify Wrapped and other campaigns that help you to understand what kind of music listening type you are, how you spend your time, and they give you all these nerdy facts that make you want to share it with other people. Plus, they always encourage their community to build and improve and fix things that are not working. So I really think that Spotify is a great example on how to build an engaging brand with a very, very fun tone of voice that you enjoy interacting with. Plus, it's very bold, it's very colorful, and very brave. This is a good example. I think we could try to be a bit more like Spotify, even if we don't sell music. Yeah, and Ludy, what kind of great or failure example pops into your mind?
A great example of organic marketing would be Notion.
Mm-hmm.
If some of you have heard about it already, a productivity tool. I love using it myself, and what's amazing is that there are always a bunch of templates available on the web. There are a bunch of influencers on YouTube that show you how to use it, and Notion has done a really, really good job of building a community that's really passionate about their products, passionate enough to promote it for free just because it's a great tool.
Those are great examples. And next question we have is actually in marketing within AM versus other businesses.
That's an interesting question. We could do a talk just about that. I don't know where to start, so maybe I just say what pops into my mind right now. I think when you're in AM, you probably always want to market to audiences who are applying competitive technologies and who not yet believe in the technology, are maybe afraid to change or have tons of questions. That is why I think educational content is really key. That is why I think AM brands should share as much as they can. Because I know that many companies are afraid to share too much. They don't want to educate the competitors. But I think we have to find the break even of things to share, so we can actually start conversations. Because of course you want to do the conversations or the juicy part of the conversations behind closed doors, but no one will find your hook if you don't make it attractive. That's one of the key things. Plus, I think it's one of the coolest spaces to work as a marketer, because this is where you will, I don't know, have a very exciting life, because the AM place is changing frequently, and a lot of nerdy and fantastic, knowledgeable people hang out there who are not afraid to test new things. So that's why I think AM is a great place to be for marketers.
Here's something from an SEO standpoint, I guess. A lot of the tips that I gave, or like the website, the content, the resources, sorry, that you'll see, they give tips that are really general and that can reply really well to if you're selling fruit or makeup or really consumery stuff. But AM is so complex and technical, you can't write articles as if you were writing for a sixth grader, which is something that's good for SEO as well, writing stuff that's easy to understand. So I'd say that all the resources you read are to take with a grain of salt. Just adapt as much as you can, as best as you can, to AM.
Absolutely. Oh, sorry, my mic was off, but that's an excellent point. Well, I am not seeing any other questions, but I just wanted to say thank you so much